The Elementals of Harmony by Fan of Most Everything. Chapter 1 Gathering Clouds. It was a beautiful morning in Ponyville. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and as a certain trio of forests could attest, the town had been mercifully crisis-free for almost 2 weeks now, ever since the great and powerful Trixie had returned to declare her undying love for Twilight Sparkle under the influence of staggering amount of poison joke. Trixie will never forget it. So many nightmares. Aside from Twilight still blushing furiously whenever some pony hummed the merry wedding march, things had returned to an enjoyable normalcy. Representing the glorious status quo, Dizzy Doo was merrily prancing to the Sugar Cube corner for her immersed muffin of the day. She even had a song for the occasion. Muffins, muffins, roly-poly, muffins, 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 eat 'em up. She then interrupted herself with a horrified gasp. Oh my gosh! What is it? Did Pinkie Pie find some pony she's never seen before? Wait, I'm Pinkie Pie! Silly unattributed dialogue, said the hurry pony. Had emerged from the bakery, apparently summoned by the sound, similarly alert to her own reaction to the mentioned scenario. Oh, hi Dizzy! You're useful? The gray-coated pigs slowly dragged their gaze from the corner to Pinkie. To your Pony's astonishment, both canary-colored eyes were unwaveringly focused on her. Whoa, wow, she cheered. I don't think I've ever seen you undipped. A brief twitch in one eyelid was all the acknowledgement Dizzy gave to that hated term. Miss Pie, she said, it is my laudable duty to inform you that a miasma of most worrisome nature and magnitude has settled around your home and place of business. I do not know how or why it came to be, but I assure you nothing good will come of it. Pinkie stepped out of the shop to investigate. Nope, same delicious-looking architecture as always. Still, she was hardly one to disregard mysterious, seemingly sourceless intuitions. Are you sure? I don't see any miasma, and I'm positive we don't have any dead dwarfs in the basement. It's probably invisible to most ponies, said the fizzy-maned pony's confusion. The male mare gave a self-depreciating smile, and her eyes gradually drifted out of alignment. Gesturing at them, she nodded. There's more to these than a chameleon present, Pinkie. This information was met with a delighted gasp. Wow! Do you have some kind of Dizzy sense? That is so cool! I thought I was the only pony in the whole wide world that had that kind of ability. Well, me and my sisters, and Mom, Granny Pie, and I think I get the idea, Pinkie. Well, anyway, the point is we could be ESP buddies! Now all we need is an alien, a time traveler, a silent, an omnipotent Japanese girl, and a snarky narrator. What does it say about my life that I got that horror reference? Ooh! Do you think Twilight Sparkle could be snarky enough? I'm sure she can make some scary literary illusions, and she does lots of voiceovers when she's dictating lessons to Princess Celestia. Pinkie, this is serious! The male mare's eyes were focused again, as though to emphasize the point. The other ponies seemed to not quite appreciate this. Can you do that, Will, or what? Because at this rate, you're going to alienate at least half your fan base. Ugh. Things finally clicked in that collaboration between MC Escher, Rube Goldberg, and Salvador Dali, more commonly known as Pinkie Pie's brain. Sorry. I get so excited sometimes it's hard to stop myself before I know that people are accusing me of turning rainbow dances and cupcakes and I don't even know where to begin with that kind of recipe. Prompted by an increasing impatient look on Titsy's face, the bubblegum pony mare interrupted herself by, as so many silently asked her, sticking a hoof in it. It, of course, being her mouth. She managed around the extremity. The point of the matter is this. Keep an eye out for any strange occurrences in the corner. If my hunch is correct, do so especially at night, or in regards to your sanity. Pinkie pouted indignantly. Hey, I'm plenty sane. I just choose not to use most of it. Her expression stood to the one concerned. Wait, are Mr. and Mrs. Cake in danger? What should I tell them? Pinkie shrugged. Right now, it doesn't seem to be doing anything other than making me worry. For the cakes, I leave you to your discretion, but I don't think you should worry about them over nothing. I admit, that could be exactly what I'm doing. Still, keep your eyes and ears open, and don't disregard anything that crosses up on your Pinkie sense. Well, that might be a bit of a problem, admitted the apprentice baker. I'm kind of the and it goes end things here. She looked at her current home. What does it look like? You remember Nightmare Moon's main too? Uh-huh. Something like that, but even darker and without the flecks of starlight. Piggy stirred. Ugh, glad I can't see it. Thanks for the heads up, though, Ditzy. Celestia be with you, my friend. The mailman crouched for takeoff. Wait! Aren't you gonna get your muffin? Never had Pinky seen so serious an expression on the face of the normally happy-go-lucky pastry aficionado. I never thought I would say this, but this is no time for muffins, Pinky! With that, Dizzy took to the skies, leaving an astonished ex-rock farmer behind her. As much as she wanted to more closely investigate Sugar Cube Corner, Dizzy had a job to do, and neither rain nor sleet nor ominous so-curly airty build-up could keep her from her appointed rounds. In any case, her duties provided a boon, for the baker was far from the only place in Ponyville exhilarating a strange aura. Visiting every house in town proved a convenient way of bringing each such building to her attention. Once she had completed her route, the underlying pattern was obvious. A building bore an logical exaggeration if and only if the residence was a bearer of the element of harmony. Once she had determined this, it led to a hunt soon compelling and too worrisome to ignore. Thus it had to be tested. That night, after tucking in Dinky, Ditsy made her way up to the attic. The storage space was filled with mementos of a life she hoped she was done with. You are right, she muttered to no pony in particular. You can't ever really get away from it, no matter how hard you try. Once she found the specific item she had been looking for, she made her way to the Everfree Forest. What she had in mind would no means easily overlooked. Once she did it here, it would probably be dismissed as just another inexplicable occurrence of the uncontrollable wood. Setting herself on a feral cloud, Dizzy took a moment to contemplate the implements she had brought with her. By most accounts, it appeared to be nothing more than a common headband, easily donned given a bit of a hopeful combination. What made it stand out was the muffin projecting from the center, and aside from the innate incongruity, the baked good was carved from stone and attached to the cloth by a circular band of steel. But, as the Pegasus well knew, no equestrian geologist would be able to say precisely from what matter of stone the lifelike pastry was carved. Given that, Dizzy's thoughts began to wander to her own strange qualities. Obviously, she was a very unusual Pegasus. Once she went above a certain altitude, she lost all sense of direction, as she demonstrated in almost every past winter wrap-up. So she had to wonder why, exactly, did she keep getting assigned to migratory bird retrieval. She lacked the effortless grace of many of her kin, especially when it came to not dropping things on the flight list. She swore she never let her cousin talking to her into helping his movie company ever again. For whatever reason, she was simply more comfortable on the ground than in the clouds, something for which she became quite thankful since Dinky's birth. That her daughter was a unicorn had come little surprise to her, and not just given the girl's father. As with so many things, it came back to Ditsy's eyes. While they wandered in their sockets like bored foals, as if they didn't force herself to focus, they made up for it by seeing things that other ponies simply couldn't. It had taken her years to realize that not every pony in Cloudsdale could see the shining barriers under each hoof that kept them from falling to the clouds, or how they were a different color and shape than the supporting rare unicorn or earth pony visitor. She had been the only member of her flight class at school to be dazzled, not just by a legendary sonic rainboom, but the prismatic glow that ended Rainbow Dash's flanks the minute after her cutie mark appeared. And swing that was the reason she had been staring at said flanks, had been an ordeal in and of itself. Suffice to say, she confirmed that the rumors regarding Dash's sexuality were just that. As for when she got her own cutie mark, well, glowing flanks were the last thing on her mind at the time, and for very good reason. Ah, yes, her bubbles. For what was a bubble? A tiny part of her mind suggested in Pinkie Pie's voice. A miserable pile of lipids. Clearly, foam had little to no bearing on her job or personal life. But as with many cutie marks, there was a deeper symbolism there. For though Ditsy Doo couldn't keep track of north or south, there was a stranger dimensions that came far more intuitively to her. If she lacked a certain degree of dexterity with her hooves, that didn't mean she didn't possess a stunning agility and more cognitive and arcane maneuvers. No, her bubbles were not envelopes of soap and air, but time and space. Fragile things, yes, but in comparison to the most rapacious medium in which she floated. For the day she earned her cutie mark, when she saw the orbs that defined her flank and soul, she learned of her true nature. Her one in a trillion kingship with something greater than Cloudsdale, Ponyville, or Equestria as a whole. A horrible blessing, an awesome curse, a destiny known only as... With a shake of her head, the mailman realized she was wool gathering, tried to put off what she had come here to do. In any case, she could see magic, even manipulate it to a degree beyond her winged heritage. With the muffled she had brought with her, she could work spellcraft with far greater ease than normal. Both despite and because of Everfree's fierce reputation, she wanted to take as little time as possible in this endeavor. With practiced motions, she tightened his space, the stone muffin lying in the exact point in her head where a hornet would be when she was a unicorn. With that, she focused her conscious mind on the arcane processes of the spell, even as she let her memory continue to wander, and lingered on the harsh growth of the sweet apple acres, fondly regarded the accumulations of cloud stuff that made up her hometown, most importantly for what she was intending. It required the endless winding river in a world that perhaps only a handful of others in all of Equestria might even know, or much less see it themselves. As she drew from these recollections, the muffin on her forehead began to glow with an azure luminescence that brought to mind the sky at high noon. With an utterance of somewhere between a witty shout and song, she brought her four hosts together. Before her there appeared a massive, brilliant spear, the same hue of her moving legendary's light. This orb vanished like a popped soap bubble, leaving behind an equally large being of vastly more surreal countenance. The creature resembled nothing more than a huge fist with feathered wings instead of pectoral fins. In the place of a tail, it continuously said that self-same sky-blue energy, the form of thousands of luminous birds. As this bizarre creature seemed to contemplate Ditsy, the setting began to spread across the wing's form, becoming a full-fledged disillusion. Fluorescent locks freed themselves from the flying fist, flapping for futile, fleeting moments of freedom before fading into nothingness themselves. God, I love alliteration! The fist, oddly, seemed not to mind his avian decomposition, continuing to gaze inquisitively, as a fish could at a summoner, until it could gaze no more. As the last vestiges of the moldered their evanescence, Ditsy gave a weary sigh. A brief communion with the thing, the very idea of careful contemplations given flesh, made clear to her. She now knew precisely why the strange build of a magical energies was taking place around each element bearer. More importantly, she knew now beyond a salve of doubt she was the only being in Equestria with the knowledge, ability, and the muffins necessary for addressing the situation before it led to a catastrophic head. Taking off for home, she summarized the reaction to this knowledge in a single sentence.
It's a good thing that tomorrow's Sunday.
Oh, well, this is new.
Yes, apparently we just got a card.
Thank you. Did he do? Perception. Adept. And we need one uncolorless two plus 2 uncolorless mana. Planeswalker, Ditzy. +2. Look at the top card of each library. -2, creatures I control gain hexproof until the beginning of my next turn. And -7, her ultimate, I get an emblem if it may look at the top card of your library any time, and your opponents play with their hands revealed. Very nice. Very nice. Chapter 2. Plans making contact. The sun shone on another blue day in Ponyville, but one resident was staying indoors regardless of the beauty inside, busy with a plan that was sure that every pony would continue to enjoy such days without fear of calamity or catastrophe. Dizzy Doo was also hard at work, though there was no mail to deliver. That meant that she could split the day between Dinky, keeping every bearer the element of harmony appraised of the situations she found him in. However, there were a few issues she had to figure out before she could do the latter. Each of the areas of high magical density had a different character to it, no doubt influenced by the unique nature of the element that was attracting that magic. In a strange display of convenience that the Pegasus had seen more than once, 5 of the elements had delineated themselves along the 5 colors of magic she had learned about in her earlier days, the extent of being magic itself. As she so bombastically reminded herself last night, Ditsy Doo was a planeswalker, a being capable of moving between different planes of existence through an exertion of magic and will. Each plane possessed its own slightly different physical and magical laws, its own ecosystems and societies, and could be as small as a few square miles or as large as an entire multi-galactic universe. And yet, throughout all these myriad of worlds, a few things remained constant, among them the colors of magic. White magic, red magic, green magic, blue magic, and black magic made up that mystical rainbow, and the time she spent searching for her home, Dizzy had found it essential to learn the nature of each and the general demeanor of each of their users. Circuit Cube Corner bore the most dangerous aura, saturated with black mana. The energy of death, decay, and madness. The element of laughter, it seemed, truly encompassed all laughter. Not of all wits was friendly, innocent, or even sane. Fortunately, the baker was also home to the pony most receptive to her warnings. Ditsy believed that Pinkie Pie was, if not quite crazy, then at least a few degrees out of alignment with the rest of reality. Just enough to see glimpses of other worlds. To understand that she was a part of a small system of a much larger existence. The others wouldn't be nearly as easy to convince. For the most part, the Grey Mare wasn't as close to them as she was to Pinkie, as they lacked the awareness of something greater than their world that had added surprising but welcome foundation to her friendship with the party pony. Furthermore, the lack of awareness would no doubt make them disregard as a direct and overt a warning as the ones he had given earlier. Ditsy's unfortunate reputation, acquired as she struggled to master the aerial layout of even a small town like Ponyville, would not help matters. She might as well start wearing a sandwich board painting with the "End is near" once around town square for all good it will do. Ditsy sighed and shook her head. No, she could make this work. She had to make this work. There was no one else who could. To her knowledge, there wasn't another being in the world with the ability to literally see magic. The odds of the princess's listening to some pony who had by all accounts ceased to exist for 6 years was laughable.
Mommy?
Juan turned from her desk. She had been duly possible approaches to the subject of fast magical cataclysm. She saw the most important reasons she needed to get this done.
Yes, Muffin? Can we go to the park?
I just realized this is a Ditsy story, which means Dinky is going to be popping up a lot.
Uh-oh.
Well, it wasn't like she'd be able to figure this out by driving herself into a frenzy before she even did anything.
Of course. Just let Mommy get her saddlebags and we'll be on her way.
Dinky Dee tried out to her mother and gave an affectionate nuzzle.
I am the best mommy ever.
Ditsy's heart melted as she slipped her daughter and Ursa a hug. She only hoped she could live up to such expectations. Nearly every pony in town knew about the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and every griffin apparently. Speaking of which, thanks, Gabby.
No problem. Yoink.
Even if you hadn't been at the hilarious Hard Rock Opera, they had probably crash-landed in your yard at one point, likely covered in tree sap. Opinions, surprisingly, were mixed. Any foal who wasn't named after jewelry or an eating utensil thought the Crusaders were the coolest thing since milled oats. Some adults considered them a nuisance, wreaking havoc with debatable innocence. Others thought them fools who were delaying their Cutie Mark's appearance by trying too hard and ignoring their obvious skills. But a few couldn't help but be amused by their antics. The follies of youth overshadowed by the thrill of excitement, the heartwarming sight of three young friends supporting each other in what was a rough time for any pony. Dizzy put herself in that last group, only hoping it took nothing as drastic as the trio's marks as it had for hers. As such, she was happy to have Dinky catch up with her friends, or, as the unicorn saw of it, tear for like before her heroes, especially since Apple Bloom's brother was keeping an eye on them. So sensible a stallion would surely stop any sap-soaked sallying forth.
I hope you don't mind having one more filly to watch me, Macintosh.
Ditsy said, already hovering off the ground in preparation for her next destination. That was no reason to be rude.
I shouldn't be too long. But, well, Dinky's a bit too young to be casting cloud-walking spells and a bit too old to be carried around. A bit!
Cried the filly indignantly. How was she supposed to look cool in front of the Crusaders and her mother making her look like a baby?
Alright, you're much too young to be casting cloud-walking spells.
This prompted laughter from everybody but the younger Dew, whose scowl and blush both deepened. Dumb moms.
I'll show them. I'll go to these Celestial School for magic and then I'll face off against this evil alternate being from ancient times. Hey! What did I say about referencing Hocus Pocus?
I can't help it, I love that fic. Ain't no trouble at all, Miss Ditsy. Big Mac assured her. We should play in the park all day.
You'll just come back when you're done with those errands in the clouds.
Thanks again. Be good, Muffin. I love you. And with that, Dinky was, in her mind, blessedly free of the mare, who was still considered to be the best mommy ever. It was just that even the best mommy ever was still a parent. It couldn't be expected to understand the complex dynamics of coolness. Come on, Dinky, cried Evelyn. You're an alright Crusader for the boy. Sound like it, Crusade. Pleasantly surprised he hadn't been exiled to Luzgrad, the young unicorn admitted to herself that maybe she didn't understand those dynamics all too well either. Rainbow Dash's house was a superb example of the uniquely Pegasus craft of practical cloud sculptor. Sure, other races could walk on clouds and manipulate their weather output, but no other equestrian species thought to build their dwellings out of this very sky. Pegasus claimed to disprove their, and by extension kinds, intellectual superiority. Other races felt the opposite. To them, and some unicorns and their ponies for that matter, you had to be pretty stupid to think that making a building that could be destroyed by a strong breeze or prolonged drought was a good idea. Of course, there was a great deal of magic involved, but both sides agreed to disagree, as long as the Pegasi went easy on the whole "we're the best" thing. Hey! As a Pegasus, I tend to think I am the best. Thank you very much. I mean, come on. I control the weather. I can make it rain on your parade if I wanted. And, oh yeah, these babies allow me to fly above your little hose and horns. So there, near, near, near. In any case, the door Ditsy Doo knocked on felt as solid as any card from wood, despite being a little more of water vapor and dust. This came as a relief, as he wasn't sure how to be able to stable the floating home would be, given the cuserating field of red mana to surround it. Red magic, normally more associated with mountains than clouds, was the stuff of instability and chaos. Solid walls were an anathema to it, but Dash's craftsmanship were apparently up to the task. Still, the crimson energy had been called by loyalty, weighing more towards passion and emotion than mindless destruction. Destroying the home what attracted to it would certainly be a betrayal, wouldn't it? And red mana's just awesome. Dizzy sighed. Magic worked by its own logic. Some parts of that logic more easily came to her than others. Red mana was her worst subject, so to speak. Much of the path of the red magic, red maze, involved acting before or often without thinking. As one of the old acquaintances had put it, the key was to stop worrying and love the boon spells. That kind of nightmare-may-care attitude just didn't sit well with Dizzy. Some corner of her mind would always be nervously recounting the things that could go wrong, and to ruin any effort to save the power of fire and lightning. Ironically, worrying about what could go wrong with such power inevitably caused that very event to happen to transpire. Red Mana was, in the Great Pegasus' opinion, kind of a jerk like that. Her ability to understand it was similarly impaired, since she couldn't grasp the reasoning of such guiding such a reckless person, if any. Just as the bubble-flanked mare was about to knock again, realizing the time she must spend there, the door opened to crack. A blurry-eyed head topped with a mane colored in 6 hues, pointing in twice as many directions, poked out of the opening. In an odd mix of imperious disdain and exhausted slurring, the sleepy head stated, "You have interrupted the best young flyer in Equestria's nap." Dizzy rolled her eyes, which was rather more impressive for her than most. It wasn't as bad as the week she had gotten the trophy, but Dash still felt the need to sprinkle her conversation with the occasional reminder that yes, she won the contest, but faced some unpleasant memories about the judges. The blonde didn't see how her flying could be described as pitchy. Oh well, not important right now. What was it? The drowsy Pegasus didn't even have her eyes open.
Hello, Rainbow Dash.
This perked up the other Pegasus' head for a moment, before it slowly began to sink into Pervious' position.
Oh, hey, Dizzy. Sup? Look, Dash, I know we haven't always gotten along. Uh-huh. I've been trying, but you probably still think of me as the doofus that can't tell north from south or the everfree from the library. Uh-huh. But I hope that, if not as a friend, then as a colleague, you listen to me when I tell you.
Dizzy paused, sighed, and face up.
Ugh, you're asleep. Uh-huh.
Well, thought the mailmare, let's try this again. So later one Dash decided Dash and knocked on the wall. The resulting tone was louder and deeper than the door. That wasn't saying much, but it seemed to work better than arousing the hostess.
Huh? What? Who?
Sky Mom and Mare flailed their hose in what she had thought was some kind of martial art maneuver. The presence of her guest registered. She sheepishly broke out into supposed compass dance. Oh, hey Ditsy, sup? Ditsy took a few steps breathing before trusting her voice.
Hello, Des. I realize this is going to seem like an odd question, but when was the last time you discharged this place?
Des squinted at the other pony, as if she suddenly gone nearsighted, and fully opened the door. The bear approached Ditsy with every word.
Did you really wake me up just to question my housekeeping?
The gray mare had been prepared for this kind of response, and demonstrated by lightly placing a hoof on the point she had located before knocking. The point was similar to a pony's pressure points, except that instead of connecting a nerve cluster, it was tied to the static charge permeating the cloud. There was a tremendous rumble. Then the entire house went blank as pitch. Then came the lightning. There was no fleeting bolt outlived by its own afterimage, but a pillar of incandescent plasma brighter than the sun seemed to support Des's home above the base earth. This whoop shooping, well, that's an old meme, continued on for a few minutes before peering out. When it did, Rainbow Dash's mane bore a striking resemblance to a clown wig. Ditsy, strangely, seemed unaffected.
Stay on your hoof tips, Dash, she said nonchalantly. You never know when that one like that might crop up again.
She flew up a mist of, yeah, sure, in every sense of the word. Years in the past, but not many. The fresh smell of baking wafted through the cloudy apartment. Along the seams of the door and windows, it literally flowed through the slim cloud. Smiling to herself, a blue-maned white Pegasus called out,
Muffins are ready! Yay!
Muffled footsteps sounded as the youngest occupant rushed towards the tiny kitchen. They were terminated by a soft thud, a sheepishly grinning Philly's head sticking out of the kitchen's wall, several inches to the side of the doorway. One yellow eye managed to find the baker, while its twin examining the ceiling.
Hi, Mommy!
The mare gave a smile that combined affection, exasperation, and concern that was uniquely known as maternal.
Ditsy, I told you not to run in the house. I'm sorry.
To the grown pony's astonishment, Dara's head seemed to get sucked back into the wall. A moment later, the reason became clear, as he reappeared in the doorway proper, suspended by her tail. The suspender was a sleek gray stallion, with eyes identical to those of the foal he held. Opening his mouth, he gently laid Ditsy on the floor, with his wife a smirk.
I believe this is yours, ma'am.
The figure couldn't help but resist a tear at their antics.
Oh, I think it's clear who she takes after.
He put a hoof to his heart.
Ah, cruel spear of insult, thy name is Mare.
Melodrama was interrupted by a hug and a
Thank you, Daddy.
So, I see Dinky got her I'm going to kill the reader with sweetness from her mommy.
Stallion replies, of course, Daddy will always be there for you when you're being a silly little muffin.
The mare's response to this was a shake of her head. I wish you wouldn't call her that, Debbie. You'll make her into a cannibal.
My dear Nimbus, I'll have you know I'm continuing a proud tradition. The Jews have always been muffins, and we always loved muffins. Shall ever be.
Muffins!
Added the dramatist's daughter.
Are you right, dear?
Ditsy blinked, feeling the tears she didn't recall shedding. She reflexively moved to wipe at her eyes, but the feel of fabric against the lid reminded of her where she was and what she was doing. Namely, a carousel boutique and acting as a pony could for the proprietor's latest creation. As he returned to a standing stance, the mailman replied,
Fine, just thinking.
Rarity gave a sigh of relief.
Good. For a moment I was afraid that I stuck you with a pin. So, anything you want to share? You're doing me such a tremendous favor. The least I could do is offer you an ear.
Pegasus bit her lip.
It's personal. Ah, say no more. I understand perfectly. I hunt bards here when I'm not wanted. Now, where were we?
The seamstress returned to her work, still feeling disconnected. Went through the last hour or so to steady herself. After the twin exercises and frustrations that were dealing with Red Mana and Rainbow Dash, she decided to opt where her color was best concentrated. To her eyes, Blue Mana was a want in the boutique.
Some civil conversation with Rarity, an enjoyable soak in a magic thought of air and water, would do her good. At least, so the theory. Reality was that the mentally stimulating power was setting the desire's fashion music to overdrive. Dizzy had been able to get a word in edgewise as he had been ushered, nay, herded into Rarity's design studio. All the while, the white unicorn had clattered a mile a minute about commission from the Vertigo.
The 500-mile city. Can you believe it? Oh, I've always hoped my fame would reach the stratosphere, but I never met it literally.
Apparently, the butterfly bear was just the size needed to assemble the garment. By this point, Verity was already gathering bolts of fabric and enough straight pins for an entire bayou full of voodoo dolls, so it was clear that saying no wasn't an option. As Dizzy had resigned herself to closed-door duty, she turned out the Divorce swathing her with cloth and began wandering her own thoughts. Perhaps it was the ambient anxiety that had set her mind on the path of nostalgia. It certainly could do that, but
What's it do? Huh?
feeling even more floody-brained than before, the Pegasus realized he was being shouted at.
Oh, sorry.
Rady frowned.
Really, dear, I don't want to pry, but whatever is going on in that head of yours must be beyond addressing.
Her expression shifted to a smirk of candelier.
An old flame, perhaps?
It took Dizzy a considerable share of her self-control, and an estimated number of pins less than an inch from her skin, to stay still.
Nothing of the sort.
The elegant mare resigned a breath.
I suppose it was a muffin recipe or some such then.
This formed a bruise on the green pony's ego that she found intolerable.
There's more than me that does muffins.
She forced the words through clenched teeth, not trusting her tipper of giving an open mouth.
If you say so, turn, please. I was thinking about magic.
Dizzy paused to turn. She really said that? Well, why has she said that? In any case, it prompted a cockeyed about for Verity.
Magic? No offense meant, Ditsy, but I wouldn't think that would be among your interests.
The mailman scrambled for something to cover her hindquarters, half his dress notwithstanding.
Well, every pony has some degree of inherent magic. Monkey on Clouds, for example.
Out of the corner of her eyes, you could see the unicorn wince. After all, Dash wasn't the only news for the cloud to see him that day.
And their ponies have strength and stamina, the likes of which we can only dream about. As Applejack can attest, yes.
Verity was now fully out of sight, presumably adjusting something in the train or undercarriage, or the dining car. Dizzy had never been master of a Fashionista.
If I may ask, what about magic got you such a fugue state? Several things, among them being misdemeanors, non-unicorn ponies can cast spells.
Tug it outraged brain again, to which the shock and dismay of her owner. Also to her shock and dismay was the unicorn jamming a very sensitive part as the seamstress lifted her head up in shock.
What? Why the very idea!
My indignation was interrupted as he recognized the tableau before her. Scraps of fabric in disarray. In the center, Dizzy D was performing an impressive handstand while wearing expressive unmistakable pain. The Pegasus tipped forward. It Rarity could see why.
Oh dear.
Several apologies and a discreet ice pack later, the two continued their conversation under more equitable conditions. Both seated, Ditsy rather gingerly, with a hot between them.
So,
Summarized Rarity,
you're saying that there's a growing concentration of magical power around the boutique that's been fueling my recent flurry of ideas? Exactly. I see. Now, according to what you've been telling me, at least a large part of that reason behind the intensity of my inspiration is because, as a unicorn, I am much more sensitive to this manner of thing. Why haven't I seen any changes suitable? Pegasus shrugged. Several factors can be in play. Her immature, undefined magic, her spending less time in the boutique than you, the nature of her soul. It's also possible it's affecting her, but in ways you either can't see or don't notice. I'm sorry, what was that about my sister's soul?
It Dizzy noticed the venom under that honey in the sense. It was too late to stop her answer.
Your soul is precise, methodical, and controlling. Even your killing rack is crystalline. Sweet is more open, more flexible. Blue magic would alter her in different ways than it does you. Blue magic? Why should color matter?
Granny Mare's mind finally gotten around to reviewing the transcript of the conversation. Her pupils straightened pinpricks.
And where did you learn all of this anyway?
Unicorn stood between Ditsy and the only exit that didn't involve an open window, of which there were none.
to go pick up Dinky. Big Macintosh has enough on his hands with the Crusaders.
Rarity stood her ground. Not until I get some answers.
Rarity, please.
There was one other option, but it was an absolute last resort.
Something's very fishy going on here,
And what heaven falls, if you find the waxing Pinkie Pie.
Now, I want you to sit yourself back down on.
The violet male mare trailed off as her eyes began following Ditsy's. Yellow oars were moving in a hypnotic rhythm, enhanced by a small sample of mind magic suffusing the shop.
You'll forget everything unusual I said today.
The Pegasus intoned, eyes still swaying in their sockets.
You'll remember the warning and what I should warn you about will come to pass. You'll know to seek me out. Do you understand?
The reply was a monotone, yes.
Good. Now you'll allow me to leave and leave this trance 10 seconds afterwards.
Yes. Her own eyes still oscillating. Rarity moved to one side.
For what it's worth. I'm sorry.
As Playwalker closed the door, young Gordon's presence was twofold. A single tear down one cheek and a quiet derp. Derpinism. Two uncolorless. Instant. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Pony, Pegasus, and Unicorn creatures tap this way. Don't untap during the controller's next untap step.
Look into my eyes. If you weren't already.
Did he do?